Imagine diving into the warm, inviting waters of the Gulf Coast, only to find yourself at risk of a silent, deadly threat. The flesh-eating bacteria Vibrio vulnificus. This year, cases and fatalities from this bacterium have surged in several Gulf Coast states, with 8 deaths already reported. The bacteria, which thrives in warm coastal waters, has caused an unusual spike in severe infections, leaving experts concerned about the increased risk of exposure during water activities this summer. But here's where it gets controversial. While some experts point to climate change and extreme weather events as potential factors, others argue that increased water activities and consumption of raw seafood might be the primary culprits. Let's dive deeper into this alarming trend and explore what you need to know to stay safe. So far in 2025, at least 60 confirmed cases of Vibrio vulnificus have been reported in the United States, with the majority occurring in Louisiana, Florida, and North Carolina. The bacteria can enter the human body through open wounds exposed to contaminated seawater, or by consuming raw or undercooked shellfish, such as oysters. Infection with Vibrio vulnificus, known as vibriosis, can range from mild to severe, leading to life-threatening complications like necrotizing wounds and blood poisoning. Louisiana has seen a particularly sharp spike in severe infections. In 2025, Louisiana reported 17 hospitalizations due to Vibrio vulnificus, 4 of which resulted in death, much higher numbers than usual. This prompted the Louisiana Department of Health to issue an alert warning residents. Over the last decade, Louisiana has seen an average of 7 cases and 1 death from Vibrio vulnificus per year. Of the cases reported in Louisiana, 75% were caused by wounds exposed to seawater. The spike in cases comes as the country faces heat waves, extreme floods, and severe storms, which may impact the bacteria's spread. The U.S. is only halfway through peak Vibrio season, which occurs from May to October. So cases are expected to increase. But this is the part most people miss. The geographic range of Vibrio infections has increased north by about 48 kilometers per year, according to the CDC. This means that Vibrio vulnificus cases are becoming more frequent farther north along the East Coast. What exactly is Vibrio vulnificus? It's a specific type of Vibrio bacteria, which includes over 100 other species. The majority of Vibrio species are harmless, but about a dozen can cause disease in humans, including Vibrio vulnificus. This particular strain is one of the most common and deadly in the U.S., causing an estimated 80,000 illnesses and 100 deaths each year, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Most of these infections are related to the consumption of contaminated food. Only about 150 to 200 Vibrio vulnificus cases are reported to the CDC every year, with the majority transmitted through wound exposure to contaminated water. Only 10% of cases result from eating undercooked shellfish. Vibrio vulnificus can cause a wound infection when it enters broken skin, often referred to as flesh-eating bacteria, because it can cause the flesh around the wound to die, also known as necrotizing fasciitis. When ingested, the bacteria can cause a bout of food poisoning, which can progress rapidly. About 1 in 5 people infected with Vibrio vulnificus will die. Vibrio bacteria are found naturally in coastal regions and thrive in warm seawater and brackish water, which is a mixture of fresh and salt water found in estuaries, wetlands, and lagoons. In the U.S., Vibrio vulnificus bacteria is commonly found along the Gulf Coast, with most cases reported in Florida, Louisiana, and Texas. However, Vibrio is also found on the Atlantic coast in states like North Carolina and Virginia. So far this year, there have been approximately 60 confirmed cases in 11 states. The following states have reported cases of Vibrio vulnificus in 2025 as of August 8. Louisiana 17, Florida 16, North Carolina 7, Virginia 6, Texas 5, Alabama 3, Georgia 2, Mississippi 1, South Carolina 1, Massachusetts. 1. Arizona. 1. These case counts are preliminary and subject to change. 2 states have reported confirmed deaths due to Vibrio vulnificus infection so far this year. Louisiana, 4. Florida, 4. North Carolina has also reported 1 death due to infection with another Vibrio species. Cases of Vibrio vulnificus tend to peak during the summer months when concentrations of the bacteria are higher in the water due to warmer temperatures. While it's expected to see cases rise around this time of year, the data available suggests that infections with Vibrio vulnificus have increased in the U.S. in recent decades, with noticeable spikes in recent years. In Louisiana, for example, there has been a 200% increase in cases over the last 2 years. In Florida, there were 82 cases of Vibrio vulnificus in 2024, up from 46 in 2023. However, state health officials noted that parts of Florida while Louisiana and Florida are seeing spikes, other states are seeing more stable Vibrio vulnificus trends. In Alabama, the vibriosis case count was higher at this point during the year in 2024 and in 2022. Texas does not appear to be seeing an increase of Vibrio vulnificus cases compared to previous years. Virginia has seen vibriosis cases rise steadily in recent years. But there's no current indication that vibriosis cases in Virginia are higher than usual at this point in comparison to previous years. Cases are expected to increase in the coming weeks and months as transmission continues. The numbers are still not so high, but the most worrisome part is they're consistently increasing, says Almagra Moreno, adding that he's noticed more clusters of cases in Florida lately, as opposed to sporadic individual cases throughout the year. It's unclear exactly why cases are rising, but it's likely a combination of factors. Climate change, extreme weather events, increased water activities, and consumption of raw seafood all play a role. Warmer water temperatures may allow the bacteria to survive for longer and create a larger habitat beyond the Gulf of Mexico. Vibrio vulnificus symptoms can range from mild to severe and can start within 12 hours up to several days after exposure. Mild to moderate cases can last around 1 to 7 days. The signs vary depending on how the bacteria enters the body. Gastrointestinal symptoms include watery diarrhea, abdominal cramps, nausea, vomiting, fever. Mild gastrointestinal infections usually resolve on their own in a few days with supportive care. Rarely, symptoms can progress rapidly and lead to a deadly systemic infection. Wound infection symptoms include redness and swelling around the wound, warm skin, pain, fever, pus or discharge from the wound. Wound infections can progress relatively slowly. When caught early, these can be treated with antibiotics or debridement. But if Vibrio vulnificus bacteria enters the bloodstream, either through ingestion or a wound, it can cause life-threatening complications, such as necrotizing fasciitis, septic shock, and death. Bloodstream infection symptoms include fever, chills, dangerously low blood pressure, blistering skin lesions. Severe infections often need to be treated in the intensive care unit with antibiotics and other medications, and tissue removal or limb amputation may be necessary. If you have mild symptoms and suspect vibriosis or had a recent exposure to coastal water or raw shellfish, talk to your doctor. Seek immediate medical attention if you experience severe or worsening symptoms, a high fever, low blood pressure, skin redness that spreads quickly, a rapid heart rate, or confusion. Anyone can become infected with Vibrio vulnificus, but certain individuals are more likely to become infected or develop severe illness. These include people who are over the age of 65, immunocompromised, have liver or kidney disease, have an underlying condition such as diabetes. To prevent Vibrio infection, especially if you're in a high-risk group, follow these steps. Avoid contact with seawater or brackish water if you have an open wound or broken skin, which includes scrapes, recent surgical incisions, or new tattoos and piercings. Cover wounds with waterproof bandages if you have to come into contact with water. Wear protective shoes to avoid cuts on your feet in the water. Seek medical attention if you have signs of a wound infection, especially after exposure to warm coastal water. Cook all shellfish to a safe internal temperature, 14